What's going on, guys? It's me, TheRealMossi, with another Battlefield 3 review and tips video for you. This time we're going to be taking a look at the Jets guided missiles, so let's get started. Alright, so what do they do? The Jets guided missiles are pretty similar to the attack helicopter gunners guided missiles in that you can target and lock onto ground vehicles. Let's get into the specifics. The Jets guided missiles fall into the vehicle weapon slot, and you need a total of 24,000 experience points in Jets to unlock them. Since they fall into the weapon slot, they take the place of the heat seekers. So if you use the guided missiles, you won't be able to use the heat seekers. That's just a heads up to everyone who relies on the heat seekers to take out enemy aircraft. If you rely on the heat seekers, the guided missiles may not be a good option for you. Once equipped in the weapon slot, the guided missiles become your secondary weapons, the primary weapons being the default cannons on the jet. Once you switch to the guided missiles, you'll be looking through thermal imaging, and it'll give you a 2x zoom. This might be a little difficult to get used to. If it's your first time, you might get disoriented by the change in perspective and crash a few times, but you'll get used to it with some practice. Alright, so like I said before, the guided missiles lock onto ground vehicles. It'll lock onto all land vehicles that aren't friendly, so it'll lock onto vehicles occupied by the enemy, as well as idle and empty vehicles. The lock-on process takes 3 seconds, but if you use the beam scanning vehicle upgrade, the lock-on time is reduced to 2 seconds. Once you lock on, you fire a single missile at the target. The reload time for the missile is 12 seconds. Post-patch, the guided missile disables enemy vehicles, including tanks, with a single hit, but you have to get a direct impact on the tank to disable it in one hit. If the tank moves out of the way even slightly and you only hit a part of it or the area around it, you won't disable it. So a direct hit is very important to getting a one-hit disable. To use the guided missiles effectively, you have to approach the target from a long distance. The best strategy to disable or even destroy an enemy ground vehicle in a single pass is to fire the guided missiles and then quickly switch to the main cannons and spray it at the enemy to finish him off. If you want to do this right, you have to give yourself enough time to lock on and fire the missiles, then a few more seconds to switch to the cannons and fire those. So about a good 6 to 7 second approach facing the target should be good enough to do the job. You'll have enough time to fire the missile and about 3 to 4 seconds to empty your cannons on the target as well. This works best with attack jets, so your A-10 Thunderbolt and your FROGFOOT. The attack jet's cannons do more damage to tanks and other armored vehicles than the fighter jet's cannons. That's why the attack jets are also called tank busters. So if you have good aim with the cannons and you give yourself enough time on the approach, you should be able to destroy a tank in a single pass with a guided missile plus jet cannon combo on the attack jets. So how do you develop good aim and get the timing right? I know it's a bit redundant and obvious, but practice. I've said this before, but the best way to get a feel for these weapons is to get into an empty server and practice locking onto idle tanks so you can get a feel for the timing of your approach. Alright, before I finish up, I'll give you some fun facts and extra information on the guided missiles. The guided missiles not only lock onto enemy ground vehicles, they can also lock onto enemy deployed gadgets like spawn beacons, motion sensors, and MAVs. Oh wait, there's more. They can also lock onto enemy mortars and take them out with a single shot. Since the guided missiles give you a 2x zoom, you can use it to spot enemy infantry on the ground much easier. So if you're good enough with your jet's main cannons to take out enemy infantry, switch to the guided missiles to spot them before you make the approach. And lastly, unlike the helicopter's guided missiles, the jet's guided missiles cannot lock onto laser guided enemy aircraft. As you know, the attack helicopter gunner's guided missiles and the scout chopper's guided missiles can lock onto both ground vehicles and laser guided aircraft. This isn't the case for the jets guided missiles. So I'll say it again, the jets guided missiles can only lock onto ground vehicles. They cannot lock onto aircraft even if the aircraft has been laser designated. Well, that's it guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe if you want more. Thanks again, I'm TheRealMossi. Tell your friends about me.